When I talk about intuition, usually the things I'll ask the audience is how many of you are mothers? And how many of you have had the experience of when your child is up to no good or in harm's way, and they're on the other side of the town or maybe on the other side of the planet? Yeah, about every mother I've ever asked that raises their hand. Of course, we know that that's a real thing. Well, something has to connect them. When you go to the doctor's office, they put electrodes across your heart, your chest, right? Or you can measure brain waves, put electrodes on the scalp. What you're measuring is current flow, the flow of electricity. That's why it's called the electrocardiogram. I mean, of course, the heart is the largest source of rhythmic electrical energy in the body by far. And we know from just basic physics that whenever you have a flow of electrical current, you create a magnetic field. Whenever the heart beats, you create a magnetic field.
And it's interesting that in Oriental medicine, the heart is kind of the center of the energy system, and the brain is not even considered much in Oriental medicine compared to the West, where we think this is regulating it all.
With today's magnetometers, you can measure the cardiac field, the field produced by the beating heart, about 3 feet from the body before you lose sensitivity. The field goes much farther, of course. That's just the sensitivity of the measuring instrument. And you can do the same thing. You can measure brain waves external to the body as well, but you lose sensitivity with the same instrument about an inch away from the head. So obviously 3 feet, an inch, the heart field is the big player when we're talking energetically or magnetically in terms of our biologically generated magnetic fields. We all use magnetic fields every day to communicate. Most people have smartphones, right? So I often ask the question, well, how does the information when you're on your phone, your voice or the text message, picture, whatever, get from your phone to the cell tower? In this case, it's an electromagnetic field that carries that information from your phone to the cell tower, right? And phones work inside, right? So we know that, everybody knows that, but they don't necessarily think about it, but it's the magnetic component in particular that goes through the walls. You can even be in an elevator and your phone will work. When the heart beats, and that magnetic field easily goes right through the skin and radiates into the space around us. So we can think of this as our personal field environment.
We're sending energy out into the universe that's impacting other living critters, other persons and animals and plants. You might say it's our auric field. For example, I watched the film Conversations with God, which has its uplifting moments and then its dramas of homelessness, etc. And I watched my emotions go on a roller coaster with our dynamic emotional detector. And with this detector, nothing is hooked on my body. I'm sitting 4, 5, 6 feet away from the detector. And so my auric field is affecting that detector, which is also shielded from all conventional energies. So that means human beings have an emotional field that goes out from the body that impacts other critters.
And there are lots of support for this suggestion. So we were able to get 5 groups of 20 people in each group. It's not like they were studying in a room together for 30 days, meditating or something. They were going about their normal lives. We had one here in California, a group in Saudi Arabia, a group in Lithuania, a group in New Zealand, and one in the UK. They wore these devices for 30 days that record their heart rate variability, the beat-to-beat change in heart rate, which actually reflects the activity in their nervous system.
The heart does not beat like a clock, ticks. If it does, that's not a well heart. That's a sick heart. The heart shows some level of variability in its beating pattern. It beats a little faster when you breathe in and a little slower when you breathe out. The greater the heart rate variability, the healthier the autonomic nervous system and the heart. And that's the most common way really to monitor stress is through autonomic measures of heart rate variability.
We organized for all of those groups globally to synchronize a time that they all did a 15-minute heart-based meditation, which we call a heart lock-in. It's one of the HeartMath techniques, where you really kind of lock into the heart, pretend you're breathing through the heart to get the coherent rhythm going, but then you activate sincere feelings of appreciation and genuine connection, and then consciously radiate that to yourself and others, right? So we all did this together, all the 5 groups at the same time. When we time synchronized the data, What we found was just jaw-dropping. After 15 minutes of us being in a coherent state, personally, the slow rhythm in people's heart rhythms are synchronizing. Even across vastly different time zones, this is a global phenomena. This actually was puzzling to us. I mean, we were so shocked by it, like, what? You know, and as good scientists, we tried to make it go away, you know, do all the double checks and things, and couldn't. The only thing that we could really explain it was that they're all synchronized to another signal that they're all exposed to, the rhythms in the Earth's magnetic field. I mean, I've heard so many times people saying, well, on some level, we're all connected. What we're seeing here with the Earth human magnetic research, I think gives us a plausible mechanism. And I'm not saying this is the only way we're interconnected, but it's certainly one that appears to be very real and very measurable. So if we're all connected to the field, like I'm suggesting, feeding information into the field, well, that's how mom or dads, too, can have the same thing, are connected to their children. And what tunes our inner receivers, just kind of like the cell phone, right, is what we care about. We tend to be tuned into the information. We pull the information from the field of the people that are close to us, that we love, that we care about. What a miss it would be if moms were tuned into the however many billion kids there are, right? So it's really, again, it's our emotional systems that tend to attune us to the emotional, to the information of interest out of the global field.
The Schumann resonance is a frequency